may I move you to another issue on sedition?
Yes.
Yeah, over the past 2 months, we've seen quite a severe clampdown. Almost anyone who's anyone in the opposition has been charged for sedition. And tomorrow, our Prime Minister is going to speak to the United Nations General Assembly. I believe he's going to give some sort of report card on Malaysia. Would you like to comment on how, in your opinion, how far has Malaysia progressed in terms of human rights? Have they kept their promises? Have they tried their best to do good by their promises? What needs to be done? What needs to be highlighted by Najib?
Well, I mean, let's start with the Sedition Act. It's clear that the Sedition Act is so broadly worded that any sort of speech that the government of Malaysia finds offensive can be barred under that act. This is being used to effect a wholesale crackdown on freedom of expression. It's being used to create fear amongst people that, you know, what they say tomorrow or what they may have said 2, 3, 4 years ago will be used to haul them into court and to basically treat them as criminals. Human Rights Watch is quite clear that we don't believe that laws such as the Sedition Act that criminalize free expression should be permitted under international law. And in fact, they do clearly violate international human rights standards on protection of freedom of expression. So, you know, Malaysia is going precisely the wrong way when we look at their issues and treatment of human rights. They're, you know, sort of slam the car into reverse, you know, taking a much more intolerant and abusive path going forward. Prime Minister Najib needs to explain exactly what Malaysia is doing. I mean, it's too bad there isn't question and answer sessions at the UN General Assembly, so somebody could put a hand up and ask Prime Minister Najib, why is Malaysia using the Sedition Act wholesale to go after activists and opposition politicians. Our assessment is that they are using the Sedition Act in a politically purposeful manner to try to crack down on anybody who has an opinion that the government doesn't like. And I think many of the people I spoke to today are looking very closely to see whether this police investigation of opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim that's supposed to take place tomorrow will turn into a sedition charge. You know, I mean, this is the sort of thing that we're now seeing in the sort of new post-GE13 Malaysia. It's a crackdown on rights based on assessments by the government that they can get away with it. Well, you know, it's quite clear that that's not the case, and that the international community is watching this situation very closely. You know, Malaysia has said to a number of different states that they're planning to run again for the UN Human Rights Council. With a record like this, I would expect that they would not be elected.
I think that the United Nations is sufficiently apprised of the situation, the actual situation.
Now tomorrow, I mean, we're meeting with the UN resident coordinator to Malaysia tomorrow morning, and we're going to be raising these issues, not only what's happening to the transgender community, but also the other human rights concerns that we have. And we'll call on the United Nations to play a more forceful role here in engaging with the government and demanding the government respect international human rights standards.
And what do you hope that the UN coordinator will do with respect to the UN?
Well, I mean, I think the United Nations, of course, as the body that conducts human rights monitoring and you know, sort of houses the treaty bodies that oversee the application of international human rights law, have a very important role to play. You know, the United Nations has come up with a framework called Rights Up Front framework that places concerns for human rights in all aspects of UN work. And so, you know, that kind of commitment, you know, needs to be followed through on a day-to-day basis, raising difficult issues with the government, explaining to the government that, you know, where they're violating international human rights standards, that this has to stop, you know, and basically ensuring that information about what's happening here flows to New York and to Geneva, and that, you know, actions by the government here to violate rights have real consequences in the interactions between Malaysia and the other governments at these UN bodies.